What's going on, everybody? Mike here with iSMELL, and yes, we are back at it with another video. With spring in full swing, it felt like the perfect opportunity to go ahead and hit y'all with some of my favorite spring fragrances. Now, to be completely transparent with y'all, I'm at the point of my fragrance journey where limiting it to only 10 fragrances was a bit of a task, but that's exactly what I did. I do believe I have a little bit of everything for everyone, regardless of your taste and preferences. At the end of the day, I do pride myself on having a well-rounded collection. I am very confident that if you add these fragrances into your collection, you will undoubtedly be leveling up your shelf for 2025. But I'm not here to waste anybody's time, seeing as we have quite a bit of information to get through in today's video. Let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, no honorable mentions, right into the nitty-gritty as usual. This first one here is, out of everything that I talk about today, my most recent acquisition. It's March as of the time of recording this video, and I was gifted it for Valentine's Day, so I've literally had it less than a month. This one comes from Jean Paul Gaultier. The name of this one is Le Beau Paradise Garden. All right, so for those of y'all that have smelled Le Beau but have not smelled Paradise Garden, don't come into it thinking that you're going to get a vastly different fragrance. In the year of 2025, we are in the age of the flanker. What that means is that they take the core DNA and they tweak it with every single flanker, and that's exactly what Quentin Biche did with Paradise Garden. For those of y'all that love Le Beau, that may be a beautiful thing, but for those of y'all trying to avoid redundancy in your collection, this may be a test drive before you buy type scenario, but it is worth me mentioning that. Notable notes in Paradise Garden is going to include coconut, green notes, watery notes, fig, mint, as well as tonka. As always, I will give you a couple of sprays and let you know what I smell in this fragrance. Otherwise, I would not be doing the name of this channel justice. I learned very early on this channel that people want to see you spray the fragrance and actually smell it, even though I know what all my fragrances in my collection smell like already. All right, so yeah, with this one, you're going to be reintroduced right away to that signature coconut note that is synonymous with the Le Beau line. It's exotic, tropical, and it is present in Paradise Garden. What separates Paradise Garden, however, is the inclusion of those watery green notes. It thins out some of the sweetness, and this may be a hot take, I don't know, but I do prefer Paradise Garden over Le Beau Le Parfum. I struggled as to when to wear this one, Le Beau Le Parfum, because it is densely sweet, but it's also coconut, so you'd think you should wear it for summer. But this one here, it's fresher, greener, more vibrant, and it has a clear utility. It's a fragrance that is meant to be worn in spring and summer. So about 15 to 20 minutes in, you're going to be into the heart of the fragrance. Most, but not all, of the green, watery facets will have subsided. What will show face at that point is another signature note of the line, that being the tonka. It's paired with that sweet fig. It's very rich. And then in the dry down, Quentin Biche opted for that generic amber woody mass appealing designer smell, which I don't blame him. This is a designer fragrance. It should be mass appealing. Decent, not great performance. I say above average, but again, not great, but it is nonetheless a great smelling scent profile that my wife loves, I love, and I've already been wearing it. I'm gonna feature it next year, so y'all will see how much I like it. There should be a dent at that point. At the #1 spot, definitely one that you should add into your collection for spring for 2025. Again, from the house of Jean Paul Gaultier, we have Paradise Garden. All right, so moving on to fragrance number 2, we're about to talk and showcase a fragrance that just so happens to be one of my favorite pickups in the past 12 months, and that's regardless of price point and regardless of season. The reason why it works so well for spring is because it captures perfectly that transition between chilly winter and vibrant, mild spring. Fragrance number 2 comes from the house of Goldfield and Banks. The name of this one is Ingenious Ginger. So yeah, as I have progressed along in my fragrance journey, I have come to learn what notes I enjoy, as well as what notes I don't care for that much. And I can tell y'all right now, undoubtedly, ginger is one of my favorite notes, especially when it's done right. I low-key blame Randy, aka the fragrance dude, for this. We did a live stream together. He sent me a bunch of decants, and I ran through this decant so quick. I knew it was going to be a bottle that I was going to be purchasing pretty shortly thereafter. Notable notes in Ingenious Ginger is going to include ginger, citruses, vanilla, florals, amberwoods, as well as musk. I'll give you a couple sprays of this one as well. Yeah, so this is a fresh, vibrant composition. You're gonna get a lively pop of fizzy ginger meets a citrus aromatic right up at the top. The composition is full of life. The citruses in this one is undoubtedly of the same vein as something like Bulgari's Tiger or Vibrato, or from a lower ilk, maybe Tarathi Blue, but it's definitely of the same vein. In the mid, you're gonna get a fair amount of fresh white florals, primarily jasmine and magnolia. Specifically though, it's the magnolia that provides a waxy, lemony tinge, and it helps the fragrance to seamlessly transition from the opening into the mid. And then in the base, you're going to get a warm amberwoods with emphasis on vanilla. And I say emphasis on because vanilla can be smelt pretty much from the beginning all the way to the end of the fragrance. And the vanilla that is used in Ingenious Ginger definitely reminds me of that semi-gourmand that you can wear for warmer weather, something that you would experience in like in Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche or Xerjoff Ouden. Last year I featured Edition Blanche, but I can tell y'all right now I'm going to be wearing this one more this spring. It's definitely one that you should add into your collection. I'm not exactly sure of price point. I believe it's around $200, but in my opinion, if you enjoy those type of scent profiles that I just stated, I can almost guarantee you that you're gonna love this fragrance. At the number 2 spot, again from Goldfield and Banks, we have Ingenious Ginger. All right, so whereas the last fragrance was one of my favorite pickups in the past 12 months, what we're about to talk about now is one of my favorite pickups that I've ever bought since I've started collecting fragrances. If that doesn't tell you how I feel about this fragrance, nothing else will. We're gonna be going back in time to 2008 with this next one. Like I said, a little bit of everything for everyone. This one comes from Cartier. The name of this one is Roadster. All right, so I want to send a big shout out to Robes, as he is the one that initially recommended this fragrance to me and put it on my radar, but ultimately it was Rich Mitch, aka the Duck, aka Excuse Me Whilst I Hydrate, that ultimately led me to want to hunt down a bottle. Again, this is a discontinued fragrance from 2008, and that was based upon his glaringly positive things that he had to say about Cartier Roadster, and I'm here to tell y'all right now that he was not wrong. This is a great fragrance, you guys. Notable notes in Cartier Roadster will include mint, patchouli, labdanum, vanilla, vetiver, as well as just a tinge of bergamot. You're also going to pick up some cashmerean, and with a lot of these, I'm just letting y'all know the main notes, the main accords that I smell. In a lot of cases, there are going to be more notes, and in some cases, they don't even tell you but 3 notes nowadays. But those are the main notes that I pick up on. Give you a spray or two of this one. Bit stingy with it. I'm going to be parroting, again, Rich Mitch's description of it, but it's the best one that I've heard. I almost should leave a marker above of his review of it. But he said mint chocolate chip. I'm going to add to that. It's mint chocolate chip with a sunny disposition. That's how this one feels. That's the utility that I wear this one. I wear this one majority during the day in casual to business casual scenarios. Now, when you first spray this one, you're going to be introduced to a sharp, crisp, green, cool mint, very high quality, does not smell like toothpaste or spearmint gum by any stretch of the imagination. You're gonna get earthy fougere tonalities in the mid because it does have vetiver, and then in the base you're gonna get this warm, ambery, chocolatey patchouli with that labdanum. It just glues everything together. This is not an overly complex fragrance, but as Cartier always does, they inject a bit of class, and that's what this one feels like. It feels like a casual to business casual fragrance that you can wear for spring, that doesn't wear like every other citrus aromatic out there. Although it has bergamot in it, it's not overdosed with the bergamot. You do have to like the note of mint to enjoy and appreciate this fragrance, but again, I absolutely love it. I recommend y'all get a bottle or at least get a decant. It's one of my favorite fragrances in my entire collection, one that will undoubtedly level up your collection for spring. At the number 3 spot, again from the house of Cartier, we have Roadster. All right, so for any of y'all that have been tapped into my channel for any fair amount of time, especially those of y'all that were subscribed very early on, y'all are already well aware that I have a strong affinity towards Banana Republic's Vintage Green 78. Again, the dent doesn't lie, you guys. This is a beautiful fragrance from Nico Percantino. It was at the point of me featuring Vintage Green 78 several times on the channel that I began to start receiving feedback, people telling me, if you enjoy Vintage Green 78, you need to check out the one that I'm about to show y'all right now. And let me tell y'all, they were not lying. Fragrance number 4 comes from the house of Nishane. The name of this one is Oolong Cha. All right, so what I really love about Oolong Cha, it works perfect for spring, you guys. One of the best spring fragrances out there. I love the vibrant, radiant, effervescent energy that it illustrates. It just works perfectly for spring, you guys. This is a refined but also delicate fragrance in the sense that it's unisex leaning just slightly feminine. So if you require your fragrances to be uber masculine, just buyer beware. Don't buy a full bottle if you like the uber masculine stuff. But again, this is a statement maker if you want something fresh, clean, crisp, effervescent that just shines during a sunny, windy spring day. Notable notes in Oolong Cha is going to include citruses, oolong tea, Litsea cubeba, nutmeg, fig, as well as musk. Now, I'll give you all a couple sprays of this one. Yeah, it's beautiful, y'all. So right up at the top, imagine like a carbonated fizzy soda from Sprite or something. It's an amalgamation of citruses right up at the top. Not one citrus note really stands out, but the Litsea cubeba, it's a floral note or like a lemongrass. That's the kind of the smell that you're gonna get with that one. So imagine a tea garnished with lemon. That's the best way I know how to illustrate this fragrance. And then in the mid, it's gonna take clean, earthy undertones with that tea. Again, this is a tea fragrance. And then it's going to have in the base musks and warm woods. Again, in that heart, I failed to mention that there's just the slightest sweetness coming from that fig. This is a delicate scent profile. It wears bright, effervescent, full of energy and life. But again, it is no slouch in performance. I get about 8 to 9 hours of performance. I wear it at work. I do get positive feedback when I wear this one. It's a beautiful fragrance for spring and one that will absolutely, without a doubt, 100% level up your collection for spring. Add it into your collection. It has my cosign. At the number 4 spot from Nishane, we have Oolong Cha. All right, so moving on to fragrance number 5, we're about halfway there, and in the spirit of all transparency, I do need to let y'all know that this is not a fragrance that came out of my own pocket. It was sent to me by a subscriber. Big shout out, as always, to Jace. Fragrance number 5 comes from Hermes. The name of this one is H24. This one here is the EDT. All right, so although I'm recommending it for spring as the name would suggest and imply, 24 means 24 hours a day. I do believe when they created this fragrance, it was designed with the utility to be used as a signature scent. And again, y'all, this is a very weird fragrance, so if y'all see me squirm, y'all show me some grace. But I do pride myself on trying to explain how these fragrances smell to the best of my knowledge. The best illustration I know is open air meets urban greenery. Notable notes in H24 EDT will include clary sage, sclerine, narcissus, as well as rosewood. Now, when you spray this fragrance and smell it for the first time, you're gonna get a bright herbal blast of green aromatic facets coming from that clary sage. In the mid, it's gonna get sweet, but also dry, not hay-like dry, but it is kind of dry because of that narcissus. It's floral and dry. And then in the base, you're gonna get this futuristic, metallic, mineral smelling note called sclarine. It's a molecule that they added into there. It's definitely present pretty much from the onset all the way to the dry down. It provides a modern dynamic finish to the fragrance that you don't always smell. Some people may find it weird. I had never smelt sclarine prior to smelling H24, so it threw me off at first. But again, if you can appreciate what this fragrance is doing, it definitely has that unique factor, and one that I would absolutely recommend for spring and adding into your collection. Again, Jace, I really do appreciate it. It's a fragrance that I didn't have in my collection last spring, but this spring I am going to be wearing it a ton. At the number 5 spot, again from Hermes, we have H24. All right, so when spring is in full swing, you're gonna wanna rock a green, and this next one is undeniably green. So much so that it's literally in the name, you guys. Fragrance number 6 comes from Parfums de Marly. You know what it is, you guessed it. Like I said, it's literally in the name. It's Greenly. All right, so the niche snobs literally just turned off the video. Parfums de Marly gets so much hate, you guys. There's an argument that could be had as to whether Parfums de Marly is literally nothing more than an overpriced, glorified clone house. I'm not here to say whether it is or not, and I'd be a hypocrite because I own several Parfums de Marly fragrances, and I enjoy all the ones that I have. But I definitely see people's point, especially because if you want to know what this smells like, it's literally a higher-end Dior Sauvage injected with green notes. Ton of green notes. In my opinion, if you want a cheaper version of this, maybe check out Coach Green. But again, I'd be lying if I sat here and told y'all I did not enjoy Parfums de Marly's Greenly. Notable notes in Greenly is going to include green apple, citruses, oak moss, petitgrain, amberwoods, as well as musk. I do also pick up on a ton of ambroxan in this fragrance. Again, think Dior Sauvage injected with green notes. So right up at the top, you're gonna be blasted with citrus notes. It's not a blue fragrance, it's green, but it's done in a similar fashion. So a ton of citrus and fruity notes right up at the top. It does ground itself, and it's made more masculine with that oak moss. And then in the base, it's chocked full of amberwoods and musks. And again, like I said, it's an ambroxan balm. If you need your fragrances to have eternal longevity and projection, this is definitely a fragrance that will fit the bill. I get about 10 to 12 hours if I spray my clothes. I only sprayed about 6 to 8 times, and I don't know if that makes me a sissy sprayer, but again, this fragrance does have great longevity even at 6 to 8 sprays. It's definitely one that I would recommend for spring, assuming you don't lean more into classic perfumery and or niche. If you like, something that has a strong utility that you can wear multiple days out of the year and for a wide array of occasions, definitely one worth checking out. At the number 6 spot, again from Parfums de Marly, we have Greenly. All right, so we're gonna be going back in time with this next one to 2016. Not too far back though, but this is a discontinued fragrance, so you are gonna have to hunt it down if you're interested in a bottle. This one comes from YSL Yves Saint Laurent. This one is L'Homme Ultime. People say that dent doesn't lie. Maybe it does lie because it's discontinued, kind of expensive. I bought it on the resale market as a partial. I've worn some, I've given some away through decants. But yeah, it's a beautiful fragrance and is another fragrance that led me to discover that I love the note of ginger. One of the best ginger designer fragrances that I have ever smelt thus far, you guys. Notable notes in Ultime is going to include ginger, grapefruit, rose, cardamom, cedar, as well as vetiver. Now, similar to other combos of ginger and citruses, it's similar in this one. Yeah, vibrant, full of life, charismatic. I think that's why I like that combination. It just wears so well on me. Great for daytime utility, and it makes the fragrance in some ways three-dimensional. It's just a beautiful introduction into a composition. And then in the mid, you're gonna get a very airy, not jammy rose, very pleasant, sweet, floral rose that's not overly jammy. It comes across as kind of romantic, and it's injected with the type of class that you would experience from not all YSL fragrances anymore, but specifically the L'Homme line. I noticed there's a certain level of class that is injected into those fragrances. And then the base, synonymous with most L'Homme fragrances, you're gonna get that dry cardamom meets earthy vetiver and cedar wood. It creates a base for everything to sit on. Beautiful fragrance, average to above average longevity, daytime wear, business to business, casual, day date type fragrance. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's on the resale market. Don't pay too much. People like to overprice things. I say for a full bottle, about $150 is the most you're gonna want to pay, and you're gonna pay that anyways if you were to go to Macy's full retail for a fragrance in 2025, but it's nonetheless a spring fragrance that will level up your collection, in my opinion, at the number 7 spot. Again, from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, we have L'Homme Ultime. All right, so we're about to stay in the same time range as the last fragrance. This one actually is even a year older, came out in 2015. So as you might anticipate, we're talking about another discontinued fragrance. But listen, y'all, I don't share the philosophy that you can't show discontinued fragrances. Part of the hobby, the thrill of it for me, is locating and hunting down some of these discontinued gems, and a discontinued gem is exactly what this one is. Fragrance number 8 comes from the house of Guerlain, or Guerlain if you're a Texan and a dumb American like me. Again, from the house of Guerlain, we have L'Homme Ideal Cologne. All right, so this is a more bright, citrusy take on the classic L'Homme Ideal DNA, which personally, again, I certainly welcome, because when it comes to fragrances like this, it means that I can wear them for more months out of the year, because Texas is a very hot state. It's hot most of the year, so the fact that I can wear something that wears like a citrus aromatic but has a unique take, I absolutely love. Notable notes in L'Homme Ideal Cologne is going to include citruses, pink pepper, almond, neroli, vetiver, as well as musks. Now, I'm starting to sound like a broken record when I'm telling y'all what these fragrances smell like, but again, an amalgamation of citruses. This is a beautiful fragrance. I have not worn this one in many months. I haven't even smelt it in some months. Beautiful amalgamation of citruses, grapefruit, bergamot, orange, blended with this spicy pink pepper, so not as aggressive as like the black pepper, but you do get that spice there. In the mid, it's that creamy signature almond that is synonymous with this entire line. It's present in there, gives this fragrance a unique factor, and then it's uplifted and made more bright and refreshing with that floral neroli, which some people find to be a bit feminine, but when blended right, it does a great job at adding character to the fragrance. And then in the base, you're gonna get white musks and clean woods and tons of musk. But this is a beautiful fragrance, day date, work appropriate. You could pull it off at the gym, running errands. It is classy, but I wouldn't dress this fragrance up too much. It does kind of have a more casual demeanor. Despite it being discontinued, it's not overly priced, at least last time I checked. It's definitely one that will level up your collection, in my opinion, and because of that almond note, it does give the fragrance a bit of oomph and a bit of longevity. Definitely one to add into your collection for 2025 at the number 8 spot. Again, from Guerlain, we have Ideal Cologne. All right, so if showcasing a discontinued fragrance that was 10 years old wasn't enough, I say we go back even further. Let's go back to 1993. Despite it being that old, this fragrance is still being produced to this day, which speaks to the timeless elegance of this composition. And this fragrance specifically sparked many other iterations from other houses, and it's inspired many other stellar fragrances that are still being worn today. This one is from Chanel. The name of this one is Platinum Egoise. Chanel Platinum Egoise is a timeless classic that exudes clean sophistication, and in a world where everybody's wearing modern, mass-appealing smelling designers, this is a fragrance that absolutely will make you stand out. It's a very professional, put together fragrance for the type of man that has a good credit score, has his life together, and isn't wearing fragrances in order to have other people notice them. You already know who you are, you're sure of yourself, and you're just using cologne as the ultimate accessory. You wake up, you get your clothes dry cleaned, or you iron them the night before, you're put together. And that's what this fragrance exemplifies, and that's why I love it. Again, y'all, sometimes the dent lies, sometimes the dent doesn't lie. Notable notes in Platinum Egoist is going to include lavender, geranium, neroli, rosemary, clary sage, as well as oak moss. As you notice, I did not mention a ton of woods. This is not a woody, overly woody fragrance. What it is a modern fougere. Herbal notes, chocked full of herbal notes. Slightly metallic, but not on the same level as H24. It's bright, crisp, classy. It's enhanced further with that geranium and clary sage. In the base, it's still not overly woody. It's still airy and full of life. You're gonna get that oak moss, kind of reels everything in, gives it that masculinity, because again, there is quite a bit of neroli in this one. And then in the base, yeah, it just has that masculine finish, that fougere vibe, just slightly barbershop, but doesn't go in that full direction. It's a modern fougere. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's appreciated by many, and for very good reason. I think it's a fragrance that will make you stand out in 2025. If you don't have it in your collection, just go to Macy's and smell it, because like I said, this fragrance inspired many others. Chanel Platinum Egoist is the prototype to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, as well as Parfums de Marly's Percival, and that's without a doubt. There's not even a debate. If you have not smelled Chanel Platinum Egoist, go smell it and you'll know what I'm talking about. At the number 9 spot today, again, from the House of Chanel, a fragrance that should be in your collection for spring if you consider yourself a real fragrance collector. In my honest opinion, it's a staple. At the number 9 spot, again from Chanel, we have Platinum Egoist. All right, so last but not least, and if you are still watching, big salute. I really do appreciate it. On these lists, I always like to include a fragrance with a very high utility. I completely understand that not everybody's a complete lunatic with hundreds of fragrances. Sometimes you just want one fragrance to hold you down, and that's what this one is. This is a fragrance that you can add into your collection right now. It's reasonably priced, and you don't need all those other fragrances. You can just wear this one for every single occasion for spring, and it will still nonetheless level up your collection. This one is from Mancera. The name of this one is Cedrat Boisé. So an argument could be made that this is one of the best entry-level niche fragrances that you can buy. I personally like wearing Cedrat Boisé during the spring, and then I wear a Ventus cologne for the summer, as it, is more emphasis on the citruses. It's not as heavy and dense. They're of the same family in a similar vein, but they don't smell alike, even though they do get compared to each other. Notable notes in Mancera's Cedrat Boisé will include citruses, fruity accords, spices, blackcurrant, patchouli, as well as cedar. Now, I do need to let you know, this fragrance, my atomizer is so janky, so when I spray it, it may come out all right, it may not, but it gets jammed up. Yeah, thank God it didn't mess up in the video. So yeah, this is a versatile, citrusy, woody fragrance, again with a ton of utility. It's energetic, but also masculine. I wouldn't say it's mass appealing, but it is likable, if that makes sense. It's the type of fragrance that not everybody is privy to, and that's just what I mean by mass appealing. Therefore, you will smell unique. People are gonna wonder what you're wearing. You're gonna get a zesty burst of citruses and fruits. Mancera didn't really say what those fruits and citruses were, so just imagine those general overarching accords merging with each other. And then this masculine, kind of ashy black currant note. It does provide a certain type of fruitiness itself, but it is a bit ashy, some might say. In the mid, you're gonna get a fair amount of spices, and then earthy patchouli kind of darkens the fragrance up a little bit. And then you're gonna get heavy woody accords with a touch of cedar in the base, and it kind of just blends everything together, and even a touch of leather in this fragrance as well, although I wouldn't say there was a strong emphasis on the leather. A lot of leather fragrances are worn during the colder months of the year. I would not worry about that. You're not gonna smell like a leather jacket when you wear this fragrance. Above average performance, reasonably priced, about $100 to $120 for a full bottle, and it's one that, again, you can wear for many occasions throughout the year. It's definitely one that I recommend, one that will level up your collection for spring, especially if you just want one fragrance on your shelf, or you're limiting your collection to maybe 10 or less fragrances. It's definitely one that will level it up, in my opinion. Last but not least, at the number 10 spot from Mancera, we have Cedrat Boisé. All right, you guys, so that pretty much wraps up the video. Those are 10 stellar spring fragrances that will level up your collection for 2025. I really do appreciate you checking out the video. More appreciative if you've watched until the end. For those of y'all that are familiar with this channel, you know I do a giveaway almost every single video. It's what sets my channel apart from the others. So here's what I want y'all to do. Leave a comment below. Let me know which fragrance you want to check out. I will pick one person here in about a week or so, and I'll send you a free 5 milliliter decant free of charge. Just my way of saying thank you for checking out the full video. Listen, I can't sit here and say that I have a ton of content, but what I do promise every one of y'all is that every single time I upload, you are going to get honest, authentic, and unbiased opinions. In the year of 2025, that has to count for something. I really do love and appreciate all the support. I'll see y'all around. All right? All right. Later.